This is day number 5, week number 2. It's July the 17th. Our Bible reading today is Luke chapter number 10. And I want to just ask you a question as we just begin to focus in on the verse that God just began to highlight to me. Do you ever get overwhelmed with the work of the Lord? You know, I do. There's many days I'm overwhelmed with the work of the Lord. Now notice I said the work of the Lord. I'm hoping and praying that everything you do is for the glory of God. But sometimes when it comes to the burden of being a servant of Christ in local communities through the local church, there's just a fraction of people that carry that weight and responsibility, while many others sit on the sideline. In Luke chapter number 10, what I highlighted was, as the ministry of Jesus we've been reading in the Gospel of Luke has been advancing, more miracles are being done, performed, and more communities are being impacted. We're now at a point where Jesus is going to raise up. In this verse, Luke chapter 10, verse number 2, the ministry of Jesus grows by 6 times. It goes from 12 disciples to now 72 more appointed to do the work of the Lord. Think about that. Growing by 6 times. And then what's interesting is in Luke chapter 10 verse 2, the Bible tells us that Jesus, after He appoints 72, He actually tells them to pray. Because the harvest is truly plentiful and the laborers are few. Pray therefore that the Lord of harvest would send more laborers into the harvest. And so what Jesus is actually doing in this passage, which is phenomenal, Jesus is teaching an important lesson about the work of the Lord being so great and so mighty that there's a need for a strong workforce. There's a need for laborers, co-laborers to do that work. Right here at Foundation, our staff and myself, oftentimes we feel that weight and that pressure. And we feel oftentimes overwhelmed with the work of the Lord, and we need more laborers to help impact our community, to help impact our church family. And so I just wrote down under explanation, Jesus appoints 72 more people, but also He shows the lack of disciples and the need of prayer to be a solution. I want to ask you to stop and pray today for more laborers and invite God to use you as a laborer, co-labor with the gospel. Under apply, I put this: we need to appoint, and as a church, we need to appoint and we need to pray for more laborers. We need to delegate responsibilities out to people that can be trusted to do the work of Jesus Christ. Under respond, God just really said, Jason, you just need to spend more time praying for workers. Instead of being overwhelmed, spend more time in prayer that I would raise up laborers to do the work of the Lord. Because God hears the prayers of His people. So don't be afraid to pray a prayer, God, use me. But don't be afraid to pray a prayer, God, raise up more laborers, because more is needed. There's so many people that are dying every day, spending eternity separated from God because the gospel has not reached them yet and penetrated their life. You are so important. You're so valuable to the work of Jesus Christ. Know I'm praying for you as a co-laborer of the gospel.